we're going to be talking about Rise and Shine today, the game that was launched by super awesome hyperdimensional mega team last month. You may recall I put out a video on it about a month and a half ago as I got my hands on the demo build of the game. And if you want to, you can turn this off right now and go check out my initial impressions of the game based on that early look. Now that the game is out, though, we have encountered criticism towards the game regarding its length and its difficulty. And I wanted to address those concerns by providing my own 2 cents now that I have played through the game myself. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Rise and Shine is very hard. It is a very, very hard game, you guys. And I tweeted this out earlier today that while the game is fun, it does ride that line between fun and unfair. There are moments in that game, there are things that kill you in that game that it is very easy to feel as if you had no way of knowing or responding to what just happened. Now, upon subsequent retries of the various encounters that are had in-game, I know that that's not true. A quick thinker does have the means, does have the tools at their disposal to react and survive a given situation. That much is true, but it's the delivery. It's the way in which the game throws these things at you that on that first death, you will certainly feel as if you got screwed. And it's strange. It's fact versus feeling, you know? Factually, yes, you do have the tools at your disposal to survive any encounter in this game. But when those encounters kill you, it's easy to feel otherwise. Very easy to feel otherwise. And that's because the game is bone-crushingly difficult. Me personally, I've gotten through most of the encounters after 7 or so attempts. And that might turn some people off right there. I would advise anybody who is not savvy towards the idea of trying and trying and trying again until you get something right to turn away from this game. But does that mean the game is bad? No. Not by a long shot. The game is good. It is very good because while it is difficult, for those that have patience to work out the problems that they are faced with, these challenges are doable. Extremely doable. They are. I compare the game to Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls, everyone remembers their first playthrough of Dark Souls, right? Where it was so easy to feel like, oh, these controls are clunky. Everything is just so purposefully shrouded in shadow about how to do this or how to do that. This boss killed me this way. I had no time to react. Everyone remembers their first playthrough of Dark Souls. And much like Dark Souls, Rise and Shine feels that way on your initial playthrough. But the encounters remain the same. Memorization of where enemies are going to be spawning, where they come in, what they're going to do, how they do it, all these things remain constant each time you retry an encounter. And, you learn. You basically learn from your mistakes in Rise and Shine. Now, that said, there are some things that Rise and Shine could do to alleviate some of the difficulty that is unnecessary. And these are very small things. These are things like, currently you can't aim straight upwards. You always have to aim at some sort of an angle, which is a little counterintuitive because, you're a boy with a gun. Why can't you fire straight upwards? There is no in-game reason for this, nor is there any logical reason for it that can be just, portrayed in real life. You can shoot straight up. You can take a gun right now and fire straight up. Why can't you do that in game? Being able to do that would help loads in some encounters where you're facing enemies that are attacking you from all sides, including directly above you. Being able to shoot straight up would be extremely helpful in navigating those types of encounters. There's other times where the game, excuse me, I'm gonna clear my throat. There are situations in game where the screen just becomes full of stuff. just bullets, enemies, rockets flying all at you, all coming at you from various directions, and it is incredibly hard to keep track of that, which means you will get hit. Now, following up from that is the presence of a life bar in the game. Rise does have a life bar, but its inclusion is rendered largely irrelevant by the fact that most attacks either one-shot or two-shot you, which means you never really see this life bar. And I think helping to alleviate the game's difficulty, on top of, patching it in so that we can aim straight up, make Rise capable of taking more hits. If he can take maybe 3 or 4 hits, that would change things immensely, in a huge way, I feel. And would go towards making the game just a touch easier. Because right now the game is on hard mode. It's just default hard mode. And, that's that. So little touches like that, I feel, can make the game better for people who want to play it, but aren't necessarily keen on the idea of redoing an encounter over and over and over again. Now, Super Mega Team has come out and said, as well as told me directly, that they are going to be patching the difficulty over the next few days. And that they are aware specifically of the difficulty spike that is had towards the end. And there is one. There most certainly is one. And they acknowledge that is not fun for people. And I respect them for that. I highly respect them for that. They've honestly come a long way, this developer. If you go back and watch my video, I talk about what they've worked on before. They have very humble beginnings as a mobile developer, as most of these indie developers do. Start that way before they graduate to the big kids table, so it is called. But that's really there is all to say about difficulty. I think after some patching, after some small touches, the game could definitely become far more accessible to a wider audience than it is currently. Because it's not a bad game. It really is not a bad game. But I think one reviewer on Steam, believe it or not, said it best when they said after they were done, they weren't entirely sure if they had fun or not. And I think that's a really good way of putting it, putting one's experience towards it. Moving on from that now is people who are calling the game bad for no other reason than because it's short. There are people who have gotten wind of the fact that it is a 2-hour experience, and they are immediately just writing off the game completely because of that, calling it bad, being whatever. I find that to be unfair. I think it's important that we establish a clear separation between one's opinion on why a game is good or bad, which obviously includes things, their opinions of mechanics, gameplay, art style, all those things that are relevant to the experience of actually playing the game. I think there needs to be a separation between that and the personal opinion of the consumer regarding value. Right now, the game is $15. So someone could very easily and justifiably say, I cannot rationalize $15 for 2 hours. 2 to 3 hours, something like that. And that's fine. That's fine. That is their personal opinion towards value, or what they deem a valuable proposition. But if they use that length as an excuse to just say the game is bad, that's not right. That 2 hours doesn't make a game bad. It makes a game short. There's a difference. And I think it's important that we make that distinction. And that's just something I want to remind my fellow gamers of. That if you see a game is short, it doesn't automatically mean it's bad. Do not mistake your personal feelings towards what constitutes a valuable proposition with what makes a game good or bad. Don't mistake those two things. Don't conflate those two things is probably a better way of saying that. But that's basically all I wanted to talk about. I know I stammer a lot. That's why I don't do too many vlogs, and that's also why Broken Glasses is completely scripted. Every episode of that is completely scripted because I'm not good at rifling out thoughts and ideas off the top of my head. But this show is meant to be very relaxed. It's meant to, to be something maybe you listen to in the background while you're doing something else, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to speak on that and say that Rise and Shine is very, very, very hard, but there are very minute changes that it can make to alleviate that and make it more accessible to a wider audience. And then on top of that, I also want to stress the difference between what makes a game good and what makes a game short, and how those two things should not be confused. So there's that. My name is Kevin Ryan. Thank you very much for watching or listening or whatever you have been doing. Stay tuned to the channel. I've got plenty more coverage of indie games coming up. I think the next one is going to be extremely relevant with regards to today's political climate. So stay tuned for that one. Again, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.